It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 259. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hi.
Kodra.
Hey.
And Thalen.
Lali-ho. And
Lali-ho. And Tam?
Hello.
Man, this is what I get for trying to put things back in order, because for whatever reason Grace is sorted below everyone else on the server tonight, so I was trying to read through the list. So yeah, we may have a show. We're not sure. We will find out. But first, I have a story. We have a drop ceiling in our kitchen. The kind with fluorescent lighting and the sheets of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning, I caught Kinsey, the crazy cat, up on top of the fridge. And she gets up there sometimes and knocks stuff off. So I got her off the fridge, and then we went and ran errands. I get home, and 3 tiles have shattered and are on the floor from the drop ceiling. And all I can think, and there's just a strewn amount of stuff from the top of her fridge. And the only thing I can think is she hopped up inside the drop ceiling and tried to walk around. She's okay. I don't think she actually fell through. She just knocked stuff off. But yeah, so we had to make an emergency trip to Lowe's to get stuff. And cats are horrible.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that was my afternoon.
I mean, if she's anything like my cat who did the same thing, she'll never go back up on the fridge again.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping so much. But no, she's an idiot. She will probably be back up there tonight for all I know. So we're in a weird position right now where we're all mostly playing the same game, but we're all at different points of the same game. Except for there's a few other things that we can talk about this week that aren't that. So we're going to start with those first. Kodra, Tametsi or Tametsi? What is that?
So, it is, it's Minesweeper, but more advanced.
Okay.
So, and they are forming a grid, and there are mines around them, and you are trying to figure out where the mines are, and you are minesweeping, like you do in, we all know Minesweeper, and so that's basically the game. But it's more complicated than just square grids. You can have octagons that can have up to 8 surrounding things, or you can have squares that don't do diagonals, so they can only have 4 things, or you can have triangles, which only have 3 things, or hexagons. So the shapes can be very irregular. It more reminds me of Hexcells than anything, because you can also have, certain parts of the board get shaded, and you'll know how many bombs there are. And unlike Minesweeper, it's not completely random. Every single puzzle's been designed for you, so there is always a known solution. There's always you don't have to guess to come to an answer. So the idea is you're just solving a whole bunch of puzzles. It is very pretty like Hexcells. It's got the same puzzle aspects as Hexcells. My one thing is it does not have the beautiful audio that Hexcells has.
Hexcells is super fun.
Hexcells is super fun, and it's got just gorgeous audio. And if you find Hexcells fun, and you're wanting more Hexcells because you have done all of Hexcells Infinite, and realize that Infinite mode in Hexcells is not good because these puzzles need to actually be hand-designed because their algorithm does not make good puzzles, Tametsi's a really good solution for that.
Yeah, that was a disappointment with Hexcells Infinite, is that the infinite puzzles just aren't very challenging.
They aren't good, and that's I'm sad, but I'm kind of okay, because yeah, you need a human to design creative, clever puzzles. Sure, I can live with that. And that's where this game comes in. It's got more creative, clever puzzles. It's just not necessarily as beautiful and serene as Hexcells.
But what is really?
Very few things. What's that one instance in Final Fantasy XIV that always makes me fall asleep?
Snowcloak.
Snowcloak. Yeah, that. It puts me in, like... And the fun thing about Hexcells is it's an incredibly frustrating game normally, but they just keep you nice and calm. I love it.
I have fallen asleep playing Hexcells more than once. It is a great make my brain more tired game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the puzzle game like that I kind of zone out while playing is Lumines.
Yes.
I'm super happy that I now have it on a modern platform.
Is the Vita not sufficiently modern?
No, it is not sufficiently modern. I'm not actually playing my Vita. Although, I mean, I guess I could play it on PSTV. So, Kodra, you have also played more Mario Maker.
I have. Mario Maker is also very fun. So, what do I have to talk about Mario Maker? The game is a lot more forgiving than I remember the other Mario Maker game being. One of the levels I started getting myself into was actually a P-jump level, which is where, you know P-switches. They are those little switches that if you jump on them, they turn bricks into coins and coins into bricks. Mm-hmm. They were in a lot of the Mario games. Anyways, there is a very brief window after you have landed on a P-switch where you can jump off of it.
In actual Super Mario World, this window is 1 frame.
Yeah, in actual Super Mario, this window is 1 frame. I'm pretty sure it was 1 frame for most of Mario Maker 1. It's now like 15 frames. It's like a quarter of a second that you can do. Like, I was able to do a bunch of, like, consistent P-jump tricks, which felt really cool.
I assume they are now building levels around that entirely?
I mean, people already were building levels around that entirely, but one of the things that I think they're doing a good job at is making it harder for those levels to be, like, brutally exclusionary. All of those tricks, they are trying to make them a little more forgiving, I think.
Yeah, it's like there's crazy Mario stuff that they do, and they've made it pretty reasonable to actually do the silly tricks.
Yeah, and like that's cool. Like shell jumps are still a giant pain in the neck, but I can eventually learn those. They got rid of mid-airs, which is very good. Mid-airs being one of the worst old tricks, where you could do a shell jump off of a shell that you just threw. Which, if you think about it, so in Mario, a shell should be pointing one of 2 directions. It should be pointing. It should be pointing directly in front of wherever you are. And if you jump off a shell thrown from wherever it should be, you can't do this trick. So instead, what you have to do is throw a shell while it is in transition from behind you when you're facing backwards to facing forwards. So while that shell is going from, like, you're holding it behind you because you're facing backwards to you're facing forward, so it's now in there's like a single frame where it's in the middle of your sprite, and if you can release it at that moment, you can then immediately jump off of it. In Mario Maker 1, they got rid of that. Thankfully. Now you can't build levels based on that. It is funny watching the community just find all of the glitches that exist that are new to Mario Maker 2 and building levels around those. I'm sure Nintendo is thrilled to see this, and those levels won't get immediately banned. They're gonna get immediately banned. But that's sort of the Mario Maker thing, is people find tricks and then the devs will patch it out.
Probably.
I mean, this game probably is going to get...
It did fix the double entity glitch in Mario Maker 1.
Which one was that?
Ones where you could have blocks that behaved like other blocks, because you could place 2 things in one spot using a glitch.
Oh.
That sounds evil.
Oh,
it was. That's
stuff.
why they fixed it.
On-off blocks are magical and really fun. I got to play a level where it was a Kirby theme song. Oh, I loved it.
Where, like, the on-off blocks were playing the Kirby theme song? Or...
Well, so it was a Kirby theme song where you were just running along and you had to jump into an on-off block on the, like, the beat up to the beat of the Kirby song.
Oh, nice. It's like those levels in Rayman. Those are my favorite levels in Rayman. It's like it's a side-scroller to a beat.
Yeah. There's already a lot of really good levels though right now. And it's something fun I can play with my kid, because I can make, like, a comically easy Mario level and just have him play it. Like, hey, can you jump over a 3-tile obstacle and then get to the, like, finish? It's like the ultimate training wheels for Mario.
That's super fun.
So is it possible to create like a playlist and share a playlist of levels? To where you basically have made a game?
I don't know about that. You can share levels, like, with level codes, but I don't think you can share, like, an entire playlist yet.
Yeah, I just think that would be cool to like be able to say here, like, I made a cohesive like level experience. Play through them all in order.
No, for that I'm pretty sure you're going to need to break out the Lunar Magic.
The what?
Lunar Magic is the Mario World editor that people used to make Round Axe.
Ah.
As much time as I spent building levels for Doom and Wolfenstein and somewhat Quake, I'm shocked I never got into the level editors for, Mario games or Zelda or anything like that.
I mean, yeah, Lunar Magic actually lets you build your own complete overworld with a whole bunch of different levels. It's very impressive and very complicated. Mario Maker is much simpler and lets you build very cool levels very quickly. And if anybody has levels they want to recommend, please do.
So, another thing that is not Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers is TennoCon was today.
Yeah, TennoCon's been going on this weekend, and their big thing was they put up the stream. That's like, I don't know what that stream was supposed to be because it was a Warframe stream.
It was a dev stream. Like, this is what they do on the dev streams. So this was just like a live dev stream. So they showed off some upcoming content. They played some content we don't have yet. Showed that Wukong Prime is coming out tonight.
Yeah, they really love doing the crowd pleaser thing of like, hey, here's a thing that's happening. Also, you can play it right now. That game, everybody I see on that game's dev team looks like they are having a great time. And I can appreciate that.
I am happy that Destiny's team has turned into that lately, because they definitely did not seem like that for a long time. But it makes me happy when, like, devs feel comfortable to just cut loose.
I feel like since they are running a free-to-play game and they have no publisher, in a lot of cases they haven't had a filter previously.
Yeah.
They're getting a little better at that, but they just sort of say things.
Yeah, they do that.
Are these like things that are crowd pleasing things and like it's a good idea that they're saying them, or no?
Just like weird. Both. Yeah, both. They make like weird semi-inappropriate jokes. They're like whoever does their like we're bringing down the server message, which is normally the most boring imaginable content in a game, like has frankly altogether way too much fun with it.
Hey, we're patching now, so you'll need to restart in a sec to pick up the new patch. Messages are interesting, let's say.
Yes, that.
Potentially concerning.
Sure, yes. There are a lot of things, really.
Yeah, I can see how that could be both good and bad.
Like one of the things they do is every 2 weeks they do a dev stream, which is the actual devs talking about what they're working on. And sometimes things that need addressing, like, hey, everybody uses this one archwing because it can blink. Well, where do we need to do something about that?
But because it's devs, and they don't have what you might call a highly focused community team and marketing
They have a community manager.
Yes, they have.
So she's the voice of the local. They have more than one.
Do they?
Yeah, Rebecca is just the most well-known one.
That's fair.
Also, she's the voice of the Lotus.
What they don't have is a like high focus like marketing and legal team telling them what they can say on stream.
Yes, they don't seem to have that.
And so there's a bunch of stuff that's like very frequently in their dev streams, somebody will say something and then we'll be like, wait, was I supposed to say that? And everybody else is like, no, you weren't supposed to say that. And he's like, well,
did now.
Guess we said it. Pretend you didn't hear it or something. But like they had a thing recently where they were talking about an archwing, and this archwing is great. One of the things that it can do is blink, which means that it is better at traversal than every other archwing. And they're like, yeah, we're probably going to nerf that at some point. And like, just like an offhanded comment, which you probably shouldn't make. And chat went nuts. People went nuts. They're like, in this one, they were like, yep, so all Archwings can blink now. And it got this like huge cheer from the audience. Like, oh, all right, whatever. This is where we live now.
All Archwings can do the thing that made the one Archwing just strictly better at traversal. And that's the thing, is like, most of the time in that game, all you're using your Archwing for is traversal.
Yes.
They have opinions about that.
Do they think
Also,
we
their
should
new
be
content
doing...
would like you to use your would like you to actually use your Archwing, please.
So the big thing for this, I don't know if it's the big thing.
It's definitely the big thing.
Is there like new expansion that's coming? And their new expansion is, hey, did you want to do capital ship battles? And I was like, I don't know, capital ship battles seem fun. How would you? And then it's like, yeah, we could do this capital ship battle. And then one of the mission types is the survival mission type is like cause a distraction while a lone Tenno operative does some things. So now you can be that lone Tenno operative. You can pick a fight with another capital ship as your capital ship, send other members of your party in Archwings out of that capital ship, where they were like manning the guns before, out of that capital ship into like as a boarding team, and you can get boarded all while somebody else is doing a mission all in orbit around a mission that another party member is doing.
So
Okay, that's pretty cool.
that sounds very, very cool and like neat. And yes, I'm interested. My thing is, I don't remember Archwings being terribly fun.
Archwings are mostly fine. One of the major issues with Archwings is that you probably have no mods on your gear, because Archwing mods were hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
The Profit Taker fight they introduced with Fortuna required Archwing guns, and therefore made Archwing gear easier to get. But, like, the actual Archwings themselves are fine. One of them would be a ridiculously overpowered Warframe if it would existed as a Warframe. And that's not the Itzel, that's the Amatia.
Yeah.
But because all people use Archwings for is traversal, nobody knows or cares.
It always sort of seemed like a Star Fox minigame on an Archwing mission.
Now
Feels
it's a
not incorrect.
maxi game.
I mean, and there's another game I used to play that had a Star Fox minigame that I also never played.
This feels more Star Wars Galaxies and less...
Star Wars The Old Republic?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, there were people that liked the Starship Combat game. I just was not a big fan.
I wanted to like it more than I ultimately did.
Yep, that.
I liked it okay, but it got really repetitive really fast.
Yes.
Well, and I also didn't really like that it had its own gearing path. I actually had to care about gear for a ship.
Trying to think of what else they showed off. That was like the big thing, but it was basically their comment, and I thought it was really apt, was they felt like the big thing they had done before was this open world stuff. And the open world stuff was cool. The problem they were running into it was that they were basically asking you to go to this other place and do stuff that was totally unconnected to the rest of the game. And then when you were done with that, go back and play the rest of the game.
Yes.
And they didn't want to do that anymore. They wanted to make it a bit more relevant.
I mean, but arguably it's the best content they've put into the game.
Well, so that's part of what they're doing with the this new stuff. This is like, the impression that I got was that they wanted to make it such that you could travel between missions this way. So the lobby space in between missions was now your open world space. I have a lot of unanswered questions about how this works, because this is the first time we've seen it. But boy did what they showed off look really cool. And it wasn't just Archwing stuff. It was your Archwing is your boarding tool. You leave your ship, fly across the gap in an Archwing, and that's how you board the enemy ship, and then you fight on foot on the enemy ship.
I mean, this has me intrigued.
It looked really cool, the stuff they were doing.
That sounds neat. Again, it's one of those things where I really hope they give you a better way to gear up your Archwing then.
Yeah, they've made it a lot easier to gear up your Archwing.
Okay, so now for the topic that is going to be more challenging to talk about. So we have a Trello associated with this that we basically like put our comments in, and this week's is mostly just all us saying that we didn't play anything other than Final Fantasy XIV.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good reason for that.
Shadowbringers is really, really good.
It's very good.
It's such a like. I like Final Fantasy XIV as a whole, and like I think it does really good story. But this is a massive step forward for this game. Like, I think it has presented some of definitely the best Final Fantasy XIV content, but like, honestly, some of the best Final Fantasy content, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is a really good Final Fantasy game.
Yes.
I think this is my favorite Final Fantasy game.
It might be. Like, it's getting close. I don't know. But it's in that terms. Like, this is a really amazing Final Fantasy game. It's got all those points that, like, thinking back, my favorite Final Fantasy games had.
It's super character driven. It's firing on every cylinder. The music is incredible.
As usual.
The cinematography is shockingly great.
Yes.
Yeah, they've learned a lot of new tricks for their cutscenes.
Every cutscene also is either something ridiculous, something incredibly important story-wise, or something devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I get this this expansion feels like it values my time as far as the story goes more than anything else I've played, and in fact more than a lot of like RPGs I play. There are a few low bits, like a few slow parts, but even those in my opinion are getting to a point.
Yeah.
Oh man. So the cinematography is incredible. Like that's one of the things that I kind of like, things I did not notice until like I'm like, why is this so much better? I need to understand why this is so much better than everything I've seen before. And it's like most of the other scenes are shot like with that 3/4 angle where you're like, your camera is looking down at a like slight angle at everyone, and that's just what you got to see. That's what a cutscene looks like in video games. And they're doing pan ups, they're doing just a whole bunch of new tricks with their camera angles. And, oh, it's so gorgeous. It's so interesting.
Well, they're doing a lot of filter work this expansion, and they tried to do that with Heavensward to some extent, but like you have these super saturated images now to go along with the fact that you're playing in this world that's just infused with toxic amounts of light.
Mm-hmm.
So everything kind of has this burn filter appearance to it.
Yeah. Well, and also they're using filters and camera angles and so forth, and they're making use of film shorthand.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
established shorthand from actual movies, and it's working really, really well. They're doing an incredible job at it.
Yeah, I'm really curious, like, if the team acquired somebody from Hollywood.
Whatever their camera tools are, like, I feel like they have played with a number of things where they're like, hey, how does our questing, are we honest about what our questing is? And FF14's questing, same as it ever was, is a lot of talking to people in cutscenes. And they have invested clearly a ton of time and effort into, can we make this interesting? What do we need to do to make this interesting? We need better cinematography. We need better camera work. We need better, all of the things that make movies interesting to watch. So they have better, it's noticeably better voice acting, noticeably better camera work. It's super impressive.
I have been really impressed with the voice acting. They've really been, like, there have been so many scenes that have just been amazing. I don't know why it seems like it's so much better right now, but it's just, it's been so good.
So one of the things is, I feel like they've definitely given some of the characters better lines to work with.
Yeah.
So
That's definitely part of it.
I'll actually say something. So running into the end of this, because I was way behind. I had to do a whole bunch of catch up to get to this point. I was not a huge fan of like the lead up to this series. Back the Stormblood like post MSQ stuff. But Alice's voice actor was a standout. She is so good. And, like, got so much good emotion into Alice's lines. And that definitely carries through. Like, I think Alice's English VO is incredibly good. And I think Alphanode's is, too. He just was never given great... Like, Alphano was kind of always the joke character.
I mean, Alphano as a character has become... like, actually an interesting character.
He has had a hell of a story arc over the last 6 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's grown up a lot.
There's so much stuff going on, and there's so many realizations that he as a character makes during the course of this expansion that are interesting, and it's been weird to be along for the ride on this trip.
I mean,
Also-
honestly, I feel like Alphano and Alice split off and both made the exact opposite mistakes of each other. Alphano trusted too much, and Alice refused to trust anyone. But Alphano's mistakes took place in the main story quest, and Alice's took place in a raid that a lot of people never played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing is, like, Alphano was very, like, he was maximalist in his position. Like, so we're going to be doing spoilers. I think I'm the farthest behind, so I am now right after the first dungeon of this. But spoilers for like the first couple of hours worth of this.
Yeah, we'll give you a moment here if you have not or are avoiding or for whatever reason do not want to hear Final Fantasy XIV spoilers up to the level 71 up to the end of the level 71 dungeon.
I suggest if you haven't played them, then yeah, maybe this should be the end.
Yeah.
Because
like, go experience this thing.
Yeah.
this thing's
it's good.
super good. Like
Spoiler tag is on.
Oh well, otherwise see you next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like the Alphano that we used to know would not have thrown away his position in Yulmore to defy like the power, because he was always about brokering deals with the powerful. That was always his thing. And like even here, he's like, well, Yulmore's where there's a lot of power. I need to go like try and ingratiate myself. And as soon as he like sees the corruption and sees the tyranny, he's like, no, I'm not going to stand, and we're not going to be making deals now. We're going to be opposing you.
We're going to find another way to deal with this.
Yeah, we're gonna find another way, even if it means we need to bring arms against you, because you are not a negotiator, and we cannot do good faith negotiations here. Like our positions are too divergent for this to be a meaningful. And so the main story quest leading up to this, that was sort of like my frustration. Was like, oh great, we're making deals with Imperials. Like, I guess there's no good option on the table, but like everyone, like, do we not realize this is going to end in betrayal? And like, shocker, it ended in betrayal.
I mean, less betrayal and more just, oh look, it really is terrible in here. We should get out now.
Yeah, it's exactly as terrible as everything looked like on the way in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we realized that, and then we're like, nope, we're out.
We're done.
And, like the what was the scene? What was his name? The end of the Yatsuyu story arc, where like her brother shows up and is like, I'm going to like, we're the Populares. We want to cause peace to happen. Like, I'm going to be a nice guy, and I'm like, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. And then
No,
like,
that was a horrible idea.
and then it's like, it's like we're going to negotiate with him anyways, because negotiating with people is what I do. And it's like, shocker, he summoned a primal on us.
I mean, in our defense, the group that he claimed to be representing does exist, and probably is worth negotiating with.
Yeah, and they've immediately
It's
defected.
just him that's terrible.
Well, but yes, but that group then got betrayed by the Empire and is now defected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Like
don't
our ranks have quite a few Garlean defectors in them at this point.
Yes.
Like, at least 3.
Yes.
But at this point, it's like, oh, you're an Imperial. Have you considered defecting? Because maybe we should start with that.
You know, there's this guy named Sid who's super famous in the Empire and really great, and he's on our side. So maybe you should think about that. But yeah, I think...
And I actually forgot Nero in my number.
Yeah, Nero's kind of awesome too, but like is a weird character.
I would not call Nero a trustworthy character.
No.
No.
He is at least not an enemy.
Yes.
Ooh,
He's interesting.
Here's a fun game. Who do you trust more, Nero or Gaius?
Weirdly,
No.
I think I trust Gaius more.
Gaius
I
has
also
never
trust
lied to us. He has always been
Yeah.
honest about who he is and what he wants to do.
Yeah, I would say I trust
It's
Gaius
true.
more because I know he would stab me in the front.
Yeah.
Right. Right, like he's gonna call us out and we're gonna have an epic battle. It's not gonna be, oops, I poisoned you while you weren't looking.
Yeah, he's not gonna. I mean, honestly, I don't expect Nero to do that either. But yeah, like
Of course he won't, because he loves Sid. And
Yeah.
the only
No,
reason
yeah.
why he stays around is
Yeah,
because he loves
like,
Sid.
The only time Nero is going to do something truly bad is if something gets in the way of his unending thirst for Sid.
I find it...
He wants Senpai to notice him.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so much.
I find it very funny that all of the A Realm Reborn Imperials are now either dead or on our side.
It's pretty great. We killed the ones that were irredeemable, and
Uh,
the rest are
We
working
killed
with us.
one as an unfortunate side effect.
I was
Okay,
gonna
yeah, no, I'm
say,
sorry. Yeah, the one guy, he was just... I feel bad for him. He didn't even get to die in a good way. Like, he dies in like 3 seconds and then it's over.
I was gonna
Which one,
say,
guns for arms?
Yes.
The guy with the shield. Yeah.
Out in Sazarina.
I feel like Lucia, it would have, like, if Lucia realized, would have followed Gaius wherever he went. So it's kind of sad that she had to perish.
She had really cool armor.
She had a really cool match attack.
I spent money on the store to get that match tech.
Sam looks sweet.
Also plays Terra's theme.
I think hers plays the
Hers?
boss theme.
Yeah, hers plays her boss theme.
Oh, that's right. It does.
P.S. I heard that boss theme again recently in a not Shadowbringers content. Well, not main story or anything. Part of the Gunbreaker story of all things. I was
That
like,
makes
oh.
some
and you-
sense.
It does make some sense.
Also, I think you mean Livia.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
who I
Livia.
mean, Livia, yeah.
Lucia's the good sister.
Lucia's the good sister.
And honestly, even if she had lived, she'd still be terrible. She was awful.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I would not trust her for 1 second, even now. Like, I would expect her to decide that we're getting too much of Gaius's attention and she needs to murder us, so he'll pay more attention to her.
She also wanted Senpai to notice her.
Oh yes.
To a distressing degree.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't really pick up on that as much when I was running that content the first time, but like I've recently been doing main scenario roulette just for experience because I am habitually behind the curve because I'm not doing side quests.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she explicitly
And-
tells you during that
exactly.
cutscene before the fight, but you may have skipped that cutscene every time. So
Well, I'm sure I watched it once, but then I skipped it every other time after that.
Yeah.
Now
And
you
now that I'm
can't.
forced to watch them, yeah.
But yeah, like that was literally her entire personality was I want Gaius to notice me, and I'm a complete sociopath other than that.
I am really glad that they have gotten better at writing characters since then.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
the character writing in
I
this
mean,
expansion is
even one
so
expansion
good.
later, Heaven
Yeah.
and Sword had way better villains than her.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and like the other thing that I really dig is they've gotten into giving us a seemingly throwaway character that shows back up somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
This game does not drop threads for any reason whatsoever.
To the point where frequently I run around going, wait, who are you again? I know I should know you. Obviously you
But
were
like,
important, but
This is also the most Final Fantasy game because it turns out that we aren't playing the hero, we're playing the summons. I find it very
Final Fantasy X?
I find it very funny that we are the monster that gets summoned by the people in this world to solve their problems.
I mean, I'm just going to say, this does nothing to the fact that my theory of that the Warrior of Light is just primal. Like, this only reinforces that.
I hope you have a notebook ready for theories, because you're going to need it.
Like this is a thing that has happened for a very long time, that every so often I will send Tam a message, since he is habitually further along in content than I am. And I'm like, yeah, this person's going to totally do this, or this is going to totally do this. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm not. But I absolutely think we're a primal. But, like, I've thought that the entire time we've played ARR. We seem to exist only to do the bidding of other people.
I mean, that's just called being an RPG hero.
It's true. But this game wants to justify everything.
It's
true.
Yes.
Sometimes things it doesn't need to justify.
Yep.
This, I can say this without it being worse spoilers, but it continues to do this to a frankly ludicrous degree. It answers questions by the end of this that I didn't have and didn't need, but here we are.
Like, very early on in the expansion, it's like, oh, yeah, you have a whole bunch of coins minted in your world. Well, it turns out people found a whole bunch of coins when I summoned something from your world, and we've just decided that Gil is now the fiat currency. So everyone will accept your money.
No, but people will accept your money here.
The whole thing about, like, you now have a fae that acts as your banker.
You have a fae that acts as your interdimensional banker, so that you can do auction house requests to the other world.
Yes, it's very important that you be able to access your retainers and the market board, and so you made a pact with a fae being.
Because that's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
That's never not been a bad idea. I mean, like, clearly no one that has played or wrote this game actually, like, read any of the Dresden novels.
Or possibly they read all of them.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they knew exactly how bad an idea that was when they made us do it.
The other thing that the storytelling that has just been masterful with the storytelling is the pacing and the like emotional cadence, because I've played games that are just like ultra depressing, just hit after hit after hit. And this is like, yes, you are going to see some stuff that is devastating, and then they're going to give you something to laugh about.
Yeah.
It's going to be heavy, and they're going to give you a little bit of a break.
Yeah. I feel like the emotional lows in this game, or like the bad feels are badder.
Yes.
But they're broken up, like they're broken up with good feels that are just as much gooder.
Yeah. I knew that this was I was not expecting to meet like mirror of the guy you start on the cart with.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh hey, it's that guy. And then they brutally murder him immediately.
Yep.
And it was like, oh.
Wait, what?
It's like, no, really, this world sucks.
Yeah.
So,
it's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole beginning of this game is like a through the looking glass version of ARR in general, because, like, so on that cart, you're riding along with Alice and Alphino.
And with the traveling merchant.
And the traveling merchant.
Asks you some questions.
And this
gives you a
time,
ring.
You see the traveling merchant, and then your first mission is then to go find Alice and Alphino. So, like, it's this weird... It just feels like almost a reboot of the game.
You run into the traveling merchant and chat with him a little bit, and he's wearing a really fancy ring. And a little bit later on, a Sin Eater shows up and gets killed by the guard. And when it dies, there's a really fancy ring lying on the ground.
You may also remember that he gave you a fancy ring at the start of the game.
One of the weird things that happens is that there are actually 3 merchants, one for each of the starting cities.
True.
For a long time, I didn't realize this, but the game doesn't drop anything, so you can actually run into all 3 of them together later in the game.
Yes.
It's madness. The every time I think that a thread is going to get dropped, it does not.
So, I gotta say, one thing that this game has done a lot better than some of the previous ones, and it really started this during Stormblood, but they have gotten significantly better at making sympathetic villains.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in places that I never thought I would be sympathetic for.
Yep.
I was going to say, I'm excited to hear that because I felt like the only sympathetic villain I felt there was for Dola in Stormblood. And this might just be because Yatsuyu didn't translate to me, but even at the end I didn't find her, like, I don't know.
I never enjoyed any of that.
Yeah.
I think the problem with Yatsuyu is, like, it was two vastly different characters instead of an actual character.
Yeah.
Like, it was like the cruelest, most sadistic person ever, or the most innocent and childlike person ever. Like, there's no middle ground. We can only do those two things.
And it was, I mean, I would have been shocked, incredibly shocked, if she hadn't turned on us in the end. Like, I would have just been completely stupefied and maybe pleasantly surprised and would have hated the whole thing marginally less. But no, exactly what we thought would happen happened, and it was not interesting, and it made me annoyed.
Shadowbringers is way better. Way
Yeah.
better about its villains.
I mean, there's definitely much more interesting villains that I like want to talk to and ask questions and can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, community-wise, Stormblood seemed to be like a low point. There's a lot of people that didn't really like Stormblood as an expansion that much. And I think that's kind of...
Storytelling suffered a lot from the split.
Yeah. But I think that's, like, caused them to double down and really deliver an amazing story.
Yes.
It is incredible. Like, we had a spoiler show about Heavensward and ARR, and we never did a spoiler show about Stormblood because I don't know. At least for me, I didn't feel the impetus to really like sit down and dig into it. It was mostly fine. It had some bits that I liked.
Yeah, there was no real, like, I didn't feel like there were a bunch of big, like, interesting moments there. Like, there was, I guess there's this really big reveal late on, which is like, oh, actually the Empire is run by the evil Asian villains from everywhere. And like,
right, but that doesn't reveal until the end of the post story. Like, I don't think we even felt enough from the main story to want to record a show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's the thing is we usually did the spoiler shows about the post content.
We did a spoiler show for Heavensward as soon as we were done with the main content.
Okay. I also know we did a spoiler
did
show for the post content, because the post content was also very, very good.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure our first spoiler show was actually the post content for ARR.
2.5, yeah.
Because that was also very good. And yeah, neither of those blocks of content were really that interesting. Like, I was kind of underwhelmed. I was like interested in half of it, and there was a lot of like personal moments that I liked. I love the treatment of Raubon. I love all of the Raubon and Nanamo moments. I am tired of the Empire right now, and I'm glad we do not seem to be fighting them.
Yeah.
Both the Empire and the Asians are just like, I don't know, like, they feel like they do a very good job of making them feel inevitable and undefeatable, and like nothing you ever do feels like it matters against them.
Man. Just keep playing, man. That's all I'm saying. Just keep playing.
But like, I hear that my frustrations might be answered, but like, that is the feeling I had whenever I was dealing with the Empire or the Asians. It's like, you never, before this expansion, you never felt like you got a solid win against them.
I mean, we killed 2 Asians. Well, we killed one, and we watched another die.
We killed 2 and watched 1 die.
And
the one we killed, it was a pretty big deal killing that one.
It was, and it was like, we lost, a lot of people died in that process. or at least one person died in that process.
I mean, the Asians are playing a very long game.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for the spoilers.
Yeah. I'm just
dying. I thanks to a quirk of my work schedule, I've had a lot of time to play, and I am through the story, and I finished the story and had to like leave. I had to go like do something else for a while. It was nuts. And this is the first expansion that I feel like I know where the post game is likely to go, and I'm here for it.
Heaven's Word also directed its early post game immediately.
Yeah.
But then, like, that wrapped up way faster than expected. It did some other things after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best thing about Shadowbringers is I'm a dwarf. Lali-ho!
You have a giant hammer and a beard, and you look like a Final Fantasy dwarf.
I do. Like, I'm a dwarf.
I don't think you're ever going to change that glamour.
Lali-ho, man. Lali-ho.
So I kind of want to comment on how much I love the Sin Eater design.
They look like they're out of Kingdom Hearts.
It feels like they're straight out of Kingdom Death. Like, maybe
Not enough
maybe
genitalia
less,
for that.
Maybe less genitalia and a Kingdom Death monster, but they still feel right at home with that horror freak show.
Oh, if you had to design an enemy where the light is bad, oh boy, did they nail it.
You're like, okay, we've shown all these creepy dark things, but now it's the light, and we want them to be really afraid of the light. Let's go.
The thing that's kind of frustrating with creepy dark things is they're always kind of shrouded, and you can never really get like a good visual of them. Like, they're always shrouded in darkness, and so you're like, what is that actually supposed to look like? No, I get to see exactly what I'm dealing with when I'm fighting one of the Sin Eaters.
Yeah, they don't have that to lean on here, and they do an amazing job.
The lions and angels that were like sitting around the court. Oh, that is such a creepy looking scene.
Well, and okay, so like remember, all of those mobs showed up before in the Amdapor series of dungeons.
But Amdapor was about a war between white mages and black mages.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Whoops.
Makes me think the white mages maybe committed some atrocities there.
It's possible and likely. I mean, they did cause a calamity.
I like that this gives us a better understanding of what an umbral calamity actually means.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been talking about it for all this time, and now they finally explain exactly what is involved.
Seeing the southern part of Amarang, where you can look up and just see this like crashing frozen wave of light is just like existentially horrifying. It just looms over half the zone.
So I'm vaguely amused, like, because we're playing in a D&D game that Tam is running for us right now, and boy, do I have some questions. Boy, do I have some questions. Do you know somebody who worked on this game, Tam?
No, but I'm mad at them.
Somehow they tapped into your brain.
Like, it's creepy.
It is. Like, the whole bit where it's like, oh, this plane moves at a different speed than the others. I was like,
I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh,
really?
Oh, we have a whole bunch of ruined worlds that were planes that leaked into another. Okay.
Yeah, let me mark that off on the bingo card. What do I have next?
I have to like rewrite my cosmology now. It just sounds like copying. Where do I go with this?
I mean, you wanted to make your game feel very Final Fantasy, and retroactively...
You did a better job than you thought.
I was like, oh, let's mess around with a few things that they've never done in a Final Fantasy game. And that way it'll be, damn it.
You are not the only one who had this thought.
Nope.
This game's super good. I just got the shot where the warrior of light consumes the light and then spits it out, and you get to see night sky for the first time.
Oh, that's such a great moment.
So good.
Yeah, it feels so good, immediately coming so soon after, like, just horror and awfulness.
Yes.
And now you know what the title screen is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially getting to watch, like, the way they present the shot where you have the crystal Exarch still in the fully saturated light, and then as he's talking, the saturation just slowly fades and everything starts to pop like it should in a properly lit scene. It's like, oh, this place is beautiful if it weren't so destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the 24-man raid is going to be about. Doing something about that.
Especially
I'll be interested to see how they manage to work that in.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Especially all of the lavender trees. I love the lavender trees so much.
That zone is so very purple.
That zone is extremely purple. It's such a
Man,
beautiful...
it's purple
color.
tree land.
It's very beautiful during the night. It's very unsettling during the day.
Huh.
Mhm.
You're also going to get to go to the Forest Moon of Endor at some
Yep.
point. And go to Nightmare Fairyland.
Mm-hmm.
And not
is
Fanland.
It is funny how everyone has slightly different names. Like, the Elizin are elves. The Lalafell are dwarves.
Yep.
So they are Mistel.
I'm actually curious. Are there any, like, violent beast races that do primals? Is that a thing, or is that spoilers and I should wait? Because
So
You
so
should-
far, like, I don't mean, like, so far it seems like most of the beast tribes that traditionally would be, like, bad people on Eorzea are, like, mostly chill and friendly, peace-loving people.
yeah, that's what it seemed like.
I haven't run into any Sahagin yet, but the
No,
equivalents
you
of
have.
kobolds... Have we?
You have.
Yep, you sure
That's,
have.
that's
You
who
sure
LSA
have.
was trading fruit
Oh, you're right.
for
That's
pearls
right.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't
Alpha
actually...
now.
I never actually met them, though.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
No,
Because
like,
of how that went. But yeah, they exist. So, and clearly, like, we can trade with them. And there's plenty of representatives of the equivalents of the Amalja and the kobolds around. So
yeah. Like, I feel like this was a way better adjusted world before shit went wrong.
You know why? Do you know why?
Why?
It didn't have Lalafell assholes in it.
Right, we had dwarves.
they were off keeping to themselves in their minds.
That is fair.
Because it's true, everything bad that's happened in the normal world, if it's not the fault of the Garleans, it's the fault of a Lalafell.
Well, and this world doesn't have Garleans either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so lacking those
But
two
the
things,
whole-
of course everything's better.
The whole beast tribe thing is because of Golda declared some races to be beast tribes so they could go and take their stuff, basically.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Like, that is the lore reason why beast tribes hate everyone. Because Lalafell screwed it up for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's almost like they've got a really good reason for that.
Other news not directly related to the expansion storyline. Being a Hrothgar is pretty great.
I've seen some really just hideous Hrothgar glamours, but I've also seen pretty Hrothgar that look really cool. So
That seems to be a thing.
I find it entertaining that Hrothgar are called Ronso in this world.
I mean, yes.
yeah, of course they are.
I mean, they look like hornless Ronso. Don't even need to be hornless. You can get a horn if you want.
I always get Ronso and Ronka confused. And then I'm thinking about the Great Serpent of Ronka.
Scree.
Angry potato.
Yes, there are. So in general, like side quests that don't have the blue symbols, you can move on past and come back to them with a different job to get XP for that job. There are two side quest lines in the Forest Moon of Endor zone that you really want to do. They relate to the Great Serpent of Ronka. Very important.
Do quests that have blue. Do blue quests. Many of them are chains. Almost all of these chains are 100% worth pursuing to their conclusion.
Yes.
Some of them are sad.
Some of them are very sad.
Yeah, some of them are incredibly sad. Some of them are just incredibly hot nonsense. They all get you Aether Currents so that you can fly.
Oh, I would also like to congratulate the developers of Final Fantasy XIV on teaching the vast majority of their subscribers a point of etymology that they did not know.
Oh dear.
The origin of the word gun.
Oh, yes.
Because it gets explained in game where it came from there. And that's the origin in our world too.
Yes.
Like, there aren't Hrothgar involved, but other than that, it's pretty much dead on. And And apparently a lot of people didn't believe this and went and looked it up. We're like, wait a minute.
Queen Gunhilda would like a word.
This is a really great game for expanding your vocabulary.
Oh,
Has
yes.
been from the beginning.
People look up how things are pronounced, though, rather than just written. Just
True.
as a suggestion.
I'm just happy to be full on in love with this game again.
Yes.
Because, like, I'd kind of fallen from the fold.
Also, I mean, I agree on that point, and also I'm really happy that I think I found a DPS class that I actually enjoy, because dancers
Are you throwing
super
rings at people
fun.
and having just fun dancing around the battlefield, not caring about anything else?
Yes, I am.
Yes, this is a fun class.
They have made a lot of classes super fun, and I'm really, really happy about it. They gave me a tanking class that I love. Finally.
They've revitalized a lot of classes.
I don't think I love the tanking class that you love. I appreciate that it's there.
Which one of us?
I do still like
Tam?
Warrior.
Yeah,
Gunbreaker
Warrior-
is not really my thing.
Warrior just got funner. Like, all the stupid things about Warrior went away. Like, the things that you just kind of had to swallow down because, like, it's part of the class. Nah, it's fun as hell, especially without TP. I could spin to win for days for all I care.
TP not being a thing has been a boon to pretty much every melee class interested in using AoE at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also, like, Bard and Machinist.
Well, see, and, like, the thing that I love about it, though, is, honestly, Overpower Mithril Tempest is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. It's not that I'm being grossly inefficient. If I have more than a couple targets, that is absolutely the correct answer.
Yeah.
And it's going to generate enough rage for me to still be able to do other things too.
I was going to say, actually, I wish it generated Beast Gauge, because it doesn't.
No,
At least
it
it
does.
doesn't at 71.
Oh, it absolutely does. It eventually does.
Okay.
Yeah.
The part of Gunbreaker that the part of the existence of Gunbreaker that I really like is specifically that, like, it's not Ash's thing. Not because I'm, don't want you to like Gunbreaker, but because my problem with the tanks in this game for years has been they don't feel different enough to me from each other, and they all feel kind of the same in a way that I don't like and can't really at that point can't really appreciate the differences between them. And, like, Gunbreaker gives me a way in where I'm like, oh, okay, now I can appreciate the difference between Warrior and Paladin, even though I don't really want to play either of those classes. And it feels good. It feels like the kind of tank that I like to play.
I did appreciate so for tanks this expansion, they differentiated their normal play slightly and homogenized their cooldowns a lot.
Yeah, which is good. I don't think that there's going to be an arguably best tank. I think there's going to be 4 useful tanks, with one of those that scares the shit out of the healer.
Yeah.
I hope they do something about that button.
Yeah,
Because that button needs some help.
That button is not a good button.
There's a reason why I'm really enjoying being on my dancer. I mean, there's other
Maybe if
reasons.
they cut your
but
HP in
still.
half, it would be a more reasonable button. But bringing your HP to 1 makes it a button that might kill you, even before it gives you invincibility.
It's not good. Also, to Grace's point, healing is kind of rough, or more rough than I'm used to.
And at least on the healer that I play, on Scholar, they made it kind of boring to DPS.
It is incredibly boring to DPS as a Scholar. Like,
am I wrong? Is it just Bio and then Ruin 2?
Yep.
Yep.
that's what you got.
You have buttons that replace those later, but yes.
Broil 3 and Biolysis and Art of War, and that's what you got. And you're probably not hitting Art of War a whole bunch.
What's Art of War?
You're
It was the
PvE.
replacement for Miasma 2.
I think probably what you're feeling in part, Grace, is the fact that, like, most tanks in general lost half of their cooldowns at least.
Not like they were using them before.
I mean,
they went
don't
on my
know.
button of like, oh shit, things are getting rough. I'm gonna hit this thing now, and a effect would fire.
So on Warrior, Warrior lost the least probably. He lost Anticipation, which was no crits. Lost Convalescence, which is actually felt a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
All the tanks lost that, and that sucks.
Raw Intuition is a good ability, but the only problem that I have with it is when it was on my Rage Dump, I could keep one in reserve so that I could do 2 back-to-back if I needed to.
Yeah.
Whereas I hit it, and now I've got 25 seconds until I can hit it again. So that's the only problem I have with that ability is like, yep, I can block, or I can blunt a single attack. So it's mostly me trying to learn what the tank buster is and timing it for the tank buster, but it's just long enough that I feel like I have to use it super sparingly.
I mean, for my healer, I think I have enough tools to do the job I have to do, but it isn't fun.
Yeah, it's really I have fun when I'm dipping a bit into my toolbox to save things that are going a little bit badly. But if things go extremely badly and I run to the end of my toolbox, it's just like, well, we're all dead. There's nothing I can do anymore. And I can no longer save things quite as well as I used to. And if things aren't challenging, I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs. Or like tab bioing, I guess.
Yeah, the lack of Bane sucks.
I mean, the Scholar Healing Kit is very strong. It took me a bit to get used to it. And I spend a lot more time casting heals than I am used to.
I feel like the healer changes are, in a general sense, the healer changes are a lot like the tank stance changes, a response to community problems, let's say. Mm-hmm. And it kind of sucks.
Is the problem that
healers are green DPS? Healers do all their heals with off GCDs, and therefore they have no incentive to spend a mana on spells that make health bars go up.
Yeah, I mean the previous Scholar approach was don't cast a heal under basically any circumstances. Spend all of those GCDs to DPS. And you definitely can't do that anymore.
Well, and similarly, like, people probably only brought warriors along for them to swap into DPS stance when they weren't tanking something.
What do you mean? Tank stances didn't exist. Ninja pulls for you with Shadewalker. Then you shirk and provoke and shirk back, so you establish a threat lead that lasts for the rest of the fight. Basically, there were some high-end problems.
Yeah.
And I think the reaction to that on the healer side was a little strong.
Yes.
Whereas on the tank side, like, I'm largely perfectly fine with this place that we've landed upon.
Yeah.
I also expect that we're going to see some... I expect that we're going to see some fairly significant changes to healers over the course of the next few patches.
I suspect Astrologians are just going to get straight up buffed next patch.
Astrologians are in a really bad spot. Earlier in the show, I was running my first instance with an Astrologian healer in the new content, and whoo boy, it was noticeable versus a Scholar or White Mage healer.
It was, so I played the end content as a Scholar, and there were some duties where I was like, there's a DPS race that I failed the first time, and I executed perfectly and got in with under a second to spare.
In the burn?
You're referring to the last solo duty of Stormblood?
Yes.
That did not get any more difficult for a Scholar.
We lost a lot of DPS tools.
But you didn't lose dot potency or damage potency, believe it or not.
That
fight was already extremely difficult for healers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more boring now, but you don't do less damage.
Except I did lose miasma.
Yeah, but the damage from miasma was rolled into bio.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And broil.
If they were grouped together, then yes, the loss of Bane would have meant something. But it's 3 target dummies that are very far apart, basically.
Yep.
Do solo duties scale to your class?
No.
It does sort of feel that way, this expansion. Doing it on a healer, it didn't seem as miserable.
There's a solo duty that Grace and I were talking about that you said you had in like 2 shots because you didn't realize how the mechanic was working. Yep. I had to leave, go get a bunch of new gear, and come back as a summoner, and I still barely made it.
Interesting.
Like the DPS check for that was super tight. And part of it, in total fairness, part of it is that solo duty asks you to do the thing that summoners are hot garbage at, which is
it burst damage?
Hey, here's a new target that wasn't on the field. You need to burst it down immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And you can apply dots.
You can apply dots once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not like the old days where you couldn't dot targets like that.
Yeah, God. That being said, Summoner feels great right now. It's incredibly hectic, but it's this might be the first time a class I've played has simultaneously had its skill floor and its skill ceiling spread apart. Like, Summoner is easier and less punitive to play than it was in Stormblood, but the skill cap on it is so much higher, and that's weird.
For me, like, I'm really looking forward to leveling all the way up on a warrior and then going back and kind of rediscovering all these other classes. I mean, because I've got them all to 50 at least right now, and like there's a lot of classes that I think were smoothed out greatly, like Dragoon that I used to like a lot in A Realm Reborn, and then did not.
Heavensward happened,
and then Heavensward happened, and then Stormblood didn't improve it.
Stormblood did improve it, and I just didn't notice because I hadn't touched it since Heavensward launched.
Like, Bard feels great.
I've done a little bit of playing around with New Machinist. I really like New Machinist.
I've never found a ranged physical DPS class that I've liked in like any game. I might have to give Machinist a little bit more time. I didn't love it immediately, but I also need to try Dancer. But it's also not my favorite archetype in general. Like, it's just not my player fantasy. So,
I mean, Dancer is about as far from my player fantasy as I could possibly get, but it's just really fun. I have buttons that just dance, because sure.
Why the hell not?
I mean, and if you press those buttons, do the dance,
and then I do
you
a lot
finish,
of damage and get a buff.
yes, then you do a lot of damage.
And also give somebody else a buff.
So, I have no real concept of how long we've been recording, but it seems like we've been recording our normal time.
It's about our normal time now.
This is definitely a show.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we kind of like wrap things up?
Lali-ho.
Lali-ho. Lali MF and ho.
Lali-ho and Scree.
Also Scree.
Also, I have a pet chameleon with a little polka dot bow tie on its tail.
I am jealous
of
Where does
thing.
that come from?
I love it.
I'm so jealous of that.
Katana Ravel.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that a bunch of times for the gear anyway, so...
Yeah.
Yep, well,
It's great.
Wait, so you actually like the tank set out of there?
I haven't seen the tank set.
It's not a tank set.
I mean...
It's like, it kind of looks like the Colosseum Subligar.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I mean, it's
coming
not.
From the Forest Moon
it's
of
not.
Endor.
It's not exactly that, but like, it's not far off.
I mean, whatever. Gunbreaker's in the Shisui set, because that's what I have right now.
I'm kind of sad about the state of Gunbreaker and Lalafels because the guns are tiny. I really wanted them to be bigger guns. So Thalen, when are you going to join me in dwarfdom?
I mean, first I have to get to the point where I can buy the hat. Then I have to decide if I really want to be that short and never wear another hat again.
Look, there's nothing wrong with only ever wearing one hat.
Is the hat dyeable? And
The hat
does
is
dye
completely
change the color
dyeable.
of the beard?
No, dyeing it does not change the color of the beard.
So the beard has to be white?
The beard will always be white.
This may be a deal breaker.
Okay, yeah, like, when you dye it, it only changes the color of the helm itself.
Mhm.
So, like, I just literally dyed mine red because, you know, warrior
That
colors
goes with
are
the
red.
rest of your stuff.
Yeah, like, warrior colors are red. So, I will probably honestly, like, forego the weird shoulder beard
Wait, what?
and run around with the Noct Lorica and this helmet with the Noct Lorica. I may have officially stopped being a bunny tank. I don't know. We'll see. Because probably Noct Lorica is my favorite tank set.
But that has its own helmet that goes with it.
Yeah, but I don't want that helmet. Like, I never wore it with that helmet. I wore it with my bunny hat. So, like, it makes sense to wear it with a dwarf hat. I'm hoping they give us additional dwarf hat. Because, like, I've run into other dwarves that have different hats.
I mean, there's a Castor Dwarf hat. Is that a bridge too
Yeah.
far, Bell?
That's a bridge too far. I'm not going to be a caster dwarf. I'll remain a Lalafell dwarf. Anyway, yeah, like that was nonsense, but hopefully you enjoyed the show, and surprise, probably next week we'll be talking more about Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers.
Probably.
Seems likely.
Very likely.
Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.
Good night.
Good night.